I mean, you should be happy that I'm overqualified and willing to do this job. Just on the street, I would just say, hello, I'm Arnold Nederpelt. But if it's at work, I would say, hello, I'm Arnold Nederpelt. I work as a business process analyst. It was more outside, for example, in a conference about neurodiversity. I would say, hello, I'm Arnold Nederpelt. I'm Chief Ambassador of Atypical, the employee network of ASML that focuses on neurodiversity. Giftedness is a combination of high intelligence, creativity, sensitivity, being really driven, passionate, curious, trying to understand the world and at the same time make it a better place with high moral standards. Lots of people, when they hear my labels, they hear I'm autistic, they hear I'm gifted, then think, well, due to the autism, probably you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. But then when I prove them wrong, they're always surprised. That's a bit of fun, try to prove people wrong by what I can do. I was diagnosed with giftedness in, I think it was 1999, at the end of high school. It was more like a confirmation of what I already knew, because throughout my childhood I was quite ahead of my classmates. So when I finally got diagnosed, it was like, okay, I already knew that, but fine to have on paper. It did open up some new resources, because when I got diagnosed, I could join Mensa and then learn a lot from fellow gifted people, get access to lots of interesting topics, and a nice community. It's frequently said, if you met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. And now I could discover, okay, what autistic person am I? I think early diagnosis has some advantages because you can give needed support early, you can avoid a lot of trauma. But at the same time, early diagnosis can also reinforce stereotypes. You don't want opportunities to be denied to you because of your diagnosis. And if people don't know yet you have diagnosis, like in a late diagnosis, then you get more opportunities to try things, more opportunities to experiment. And then later in life, when you finally get the diagnosis, then you can get the support you need at that time. So I think both the early diagnosis and the late diagnosis each have their own advantage. Though of course we should try to move to a world in which early diagnosis offers all of the advantages and none of the downsides. Because if you have an early diagnosis without the stereotypes and with proper support, then it can be really beneficial. But in the current state of the world, I would say for some people, some places, some countries, a late diagnosis might be better, because then you avoid a lot of those stereotypes. So if you look at my journey coming out of university, for the study I chose, technische bedrijfskunde, in English I think it's called Industrial Engineering and Management Sciences. They told me that 90% of the students who follow that field of study, they get a job within 6 months. So I thought, well, looks good. I also like the field of study, so I'm going to go for that. Unfortunately, it didn't go that smooth, and it didn't really matter whether I told about my autism and giftedness beforehand. It started the interview, end of the interview. There's always the same two arguments that caused me not to get hired. It remains a bit silly because also with the argument, you're too smart for this function, which I've heard a lot. One time I asked, okay, why is that a problem? I mean, you should be happy that I'm overqualified and willing to do this job. So after about 3 years on the job market, I thought, okay, I'm not succeeding on my own, so I need help. And then I had an interview at ASML, where I now work, together with a job coach, where basically we did the job interview together. So I wasn't there presenting myself, but I was being presented by the job coach to ASML. And that bit of help enabled me to finally get a job at ASML, where 13 years later I still am today. That's one thing that I noticed especially over the past. You can get a lot of support when you have a diagnosis, but mainly support around finding a home, finding work, but not around relationships. So you can get support in getting a job, but you can't get support in finding a girlfriend, for example. Even though that's something where I think a lot of neurodivergent people are also struggling. Because in some way, there's a similarity between a job interview and dating. But instead of applying for a job, you're applying for a relationship. And I'm quite confident in my relationship skills, just like I'm confident in my job skills. But my dating skills are not so good. So that's something I would really like some support. But yeah, if you want to support, then you need to pay it for yourself, you need to find yourself so you don't get anything. And that's, I think, yeah, a bit of injustice. So hopefully in 10 years, the support will be there, or maybe I find my own way, and then have a happy family.